So why don't you tell me, I did it earlier, but Lance hasn't been here for this yet. Right now it's a Brit 800, but I think there's probably something better you would like. Of course, it's very trite and trebly right now, so let's get out of that part of it. But my point is, I mean, I can pull it back a little bit, but we can find another amp that you might like.
Okay.
So what would you want to try, the train wreck again?
Yeah, I like wrecks.
Because you like that wrecker. So I'm going to go here and I'll pull up the Express. Where is it? We'll do, hey, let's do the Fractal version of it.
Okay.
So Cliff reworked this for himself, all right? All right, so now I've got the train wreck in here, and I'm going to get it all at neutral. So you guys get to watch us do this. This is in a, these are in the Dynacabs, okay? So I'm going to pull that dynamic bike back, and you got a ribbon on it, all right?
Right.
So let's start to see if we can get where we like to be in terms of tone. Okay.
It's probably a little bright.
It's bright. I hear you.
Yeah.
And the bright's actually off on it. So
weird.
It may be that we really don't need this dynamic mic. Let's try it with just the ribbon.
Better.
Let's move it over now. Now let's try it with the See how we're getting there? We're just moving the ribbon mic away from the cap. That's all we're doing. Inside it. That's the cool thing about the new software. Since October, you can get these cabs and you literally can move the mics around where you want them to be. Isn't that cool?
Huge difference.
Yeah. So we can get it where you want it. So let's try right about there and see if you like that.
That's good, yeah.
Still got some bright to it.
Yeah, but
now I'll put a little more gain on it and let's see where you are with that.
That's good.
All right, and I cut a little highs in the cab block, and I add a little bottom, so you got a little more thump now.
See how that cleans up too? I would live there and then have a boost after the amp for level.
To move it up for your leads and stuff, and we can set up a scene for that. So now, this is just clean with an amp and a cab. We're okay with that sound for now.
Real close.
Yeah, it may not be exactly a sound, but it's real close. But now what we're going to do is we're going to put some things in front of it, like I put a Paragon wah in here, and if you hit that wah pedal,
yeah, it sounds like my old parachute pedal for sure.
Right. And if you put it all the way down, it'll go off. And then I've got a couple of different drives here. So first of all, we can put on the Klon back here and see what you think about that. It just wants to sustain all day, doesn't it?
It's fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
That's fun.
And then I know you like Univibes.
Oh, I do.
And you've played with some before, so we can get this one throbbing more the way you like.
It's nice.
So I'm pulling the depth up a little bit more and make it boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, nice.
Is that kind of where you're at?
Yeah, that's where I live.
Yeah, you had a couple of cool adjustments to the one you'd done, which I really like too. So, and I also know that you like to use sometimes, you've used a treble booster, but you've also used an Octavia and a tone bender, if I'm not mistaken.
That's true.
So like this is a tone bender with, you know, not a ton of drive, but you can tell me if you want more or less.
Ooh, that sounds good. That's great.
Oh man.
That's it.
Oh man. Sorry, I'm overdosing.
Yeah, now,
oh man, that's so good.
And now we need to have my signature Lance plays with too much delay and reverb.
We're getting, I'm moving there.
Okay.
Before we got there, I wanted to get the rotary in.
Oh, good.
And see maybe if we can try and build a ramp real quick. So right now I've got the rotary in. This is kind of one you played with last time. All right. All right. So I'm gonna, there you go.
Sounds good.
We talked about this in another video. We name checked you on it.
Yeah.
So now what I'm doing is I'm putting this in here. So like when we turn the thing on, it's going to start down slow with the and then it's going to pop on. So let's try that. You hear how it's going real slow down? So now it's really slow up. So the point is, you got to get it, you know, it's about 2 seconds, right?
Yeah.
That's what we look for to do it. And then what you do is you assign that to a control switch.
Right.
So I'm going to do that right now.
Okay.
It's going to be the same as an amp boost. I don't mind sharing them.
All right.
All right. So now it's going down slow.
That's good, yeah.
You see how it's doing it?
Yeah, that's a good time.
And you can set exactly, right now it's about 3 seconds,
yeah.
You know, is what it's doing. But that's how you can set your thing to do it. So I would put this on a CS1, guys. You know, we use the boost for the other thing.
Right.
But you were always wanting to be able to do that, to make that ramp go
Well,
up.
the reason is because the magic, guys, with any time you've heard a guitar through a Leslie, it's not going or wow. It's the parts in between that make the magic. Like if you listen to Badge, which is one of the ones that most people listen to, that old clapping tune. It's and it starts back down again. I mean, it's like you go fast for a second and you go back down.
Yeah.
And how I'm always on a real Leslie, I'm always stepping on that button because I'm going to let it go, ramp up for a second, start to ramp back down. And that's where that magic happens, that sort of cool tone we all dig.
I think the big thing you wanted to get at here is your 2290 delay. And what kind of seconds do you want?
475.
475, ladies and gentlemen, the magic number.
So my magic number for delay is 475, and if I'm doing stereo delay, especially with this machine, I'll do 475 on one side and 680 on the other.
So so you could get a dual to do that. It wouldn't be 22 mon, but we could do that as a second example. Let's see how this one works.
Nice.
All right. So does that sound like a good 2290?
Yeah.
Let's do a dual delay just because we were talking about it, right? And let's see what we can do with that. So you said, which is it you want on this side is the 475, and on the other side you like how much?
680.
680. All right. And so feedback-wise, input gain, that looks pretty good. So see what your feedback's like. You like the...
That's about right.
Okay, I'm going to give you a little more volume on it, though.
So, and you'll hear this, guys, if you're listening to stereo, this is what I use on my rig, usually, is this. Except I use too much delay, so my mix is probably a little higher than that. You know? but yeah, you get the point, though. It kind of does this cool bounce. It's sort of a... Gilmore does that a lot.
Yeah.
And Steve Lukather does that too. He's got 2 delays.
Andy Timmons does it.
Yeah.
What they try and do now is they do a quarter note on one side and a dotted eighth on the other, and they tie it to the tempo of the song.
Right.
That's what they do. But you found this works for pretty much
it works
everything
for everything.
you're doing. Yeah.
Well, think about it.
And for slide, too, it's killer, right?
Yeah,
You know,
I mean, think about it. For reverb and delay, everybody else goes, does it have tap tempo? I'm like, well, does it matter? Because have you ever heard a room that you could adjust with your foot? No, I want it to sound like a room, and the room doesn't always work with, you know, the guitar and the band. It's the room, and that's the point. It's a good delay for slide.
Yeah. And I don't know if you really use reverb on this, but I can put one in here for you.
Oh, I do. I use.
So I've got a spring on here now, but what do you usually like? A plate?
Plate.
So I've got a large plate right here. This is kind of a, if I make it a little longer, it's kind of a EMT 140, you know? So do you hear it?
Yeah.
it's a heavy. That's a lot of reverb, and I just put the delay on it too. But then if we put all that in, we put a clon in front of it, you know, which actually it's been there, and we got let's put a let's do an Octavia.
Oh, I like that. But
I think the one you and I dialed in here. Let's see what it sounds like.
And everybody at home, just take my word for it. Use your neck position.
Yes.
Unless you just want to do something ugly, use the neck position with your Octavias. But if I'm going to do ugly things, it's what Billy Gibbons calls the obscene tones. You go to your bridge and go to your bridge and do double stops. And what I do a lot of times with an Octavia sound too is I just had the volume down a little on the bridge pickup instead of full on, and then it starts to confuse it even more and makes really ugly sounds, which I like. Okay.
That's nasty.
That's ugly.
That's like that's a full tone with the fat switch on. It's
right.
Emulating that kind of ultimate octave.
Cool.
Well, this is cool, man.
Fun stuff.
Any other things you want to try and plug in here for fun, or just a regular face fuzz maybe, or something like that?
Yeah, fuzz face.
Yeah, let's find a good fuzz face. I have, you know, I've emulated things like the NKT and all that stuff, Sunface, if you've played those before. Sure. So here's one that's on kind of what I call medium, and then we can play with it if you want after that.
It's nice, yeah. The rig I sometimes am using with my band is the Axe-FX III, 2 wet cabinets, but I'm using the Axe-FX III in 2 different ways. I'm using 1 chain in front of the amp to do the fuzzes and Octavias and the univibes and all that. Then a second chain in and out that does the stereo delays and reverbs and any modulation stuff just on the wet cabinets.
Yeah, so you're doing the 4-cable method. You've got 1 cable in for the dry and then the other stuff for the wet, and you get that nice stereo spread with that nice Ronin amp.
Currently I've been playing live with the Ronin amp because the Ronin Launch Series Edition amp that I have, very strange. Even with the amp companies I've personally been involved with, the Ronin does this thing that it's super touch sensitive. They have a for lack of a better description, a master volume that we can get tones at the level we're talking that sound great. Yeah. So the band's able to get our stage volume pretty low and still use a tube amp.
I've heard it's true. Yeah, they're octal tubes, I think. Or like
yeah, it's a 6SJ7 in the front end, which is a weird tube that was only used in 1 Gibson amp and some Telefunken products. But it's super harmonic. It's crazy. Yeah. It's one of those amps that if your technique isn't what you want it to be, don't even play through it. It'll just upset you. Because we were at a listening party in Nashville, and this guy came in and plugged in and turned it up and went, here, just hand me the guitar back. So I don't want to do this. Yeah. Because it shows everything.
Yeah, it was like the first time I ever tried to play a Marshall all the way up. I'm like, oh, I'm not ready for this. It's like riding a tiger or a Dumble. If you don't know what you're doing, it's going to show everything that you're doing.
Rex Dumbles and this amp are the most like that. And obviously, if you're first starting out and you plug into a big 100-watt Marshall with nothing between you and the amp except a guitar and your ears, and it'll scare you.
I've ridden that Tiger before, and I think Ronin's building an amp for Dweezil as well.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. I know he's bought their guitars as well. I know you've played a few of those.
I've been using their pickups on a lot of things.
There's big old gold foils. They look gorgeous, man.
Yeah, and it's another thing. It's kind of like imagine if a pickup was single-ended. Yeah. It's like that. It's very fast, very harmonic sounding. Yeah. And you get some crazy harmonics out of that pickup that you don't out of a normal humbucker, and so it's kind of fun. Yeah,
those gold foils like that. Jason Lawler's telling me that, like they give. You push into them and they give you stuff the way they work.
Yeah, it's odd. Yeah,
it's really cool. Really nice. If you get a chance to see Lance ever play, do it. You will thank me later. So we're gonna flash some of his albums up here. I listened to him. Texas rock, baby. Well, I think we're gonna wrap up. Any parting words? Anything of wisdom here?
Yeah, if you're playing a Fractal, get in touch with Buddy because his tone packs are such a good starting place for anyone who's first getting into this sort of thing. Because for me, I know that the modeling thing, it's overwhelming because there's so many possibilities, right?
Yeah,
so if you have somebody like Buddy who's knee deep in this and can send you a pack to start with, that doesn't mean you're going to turn that sound on and go, this is my only sound ever, I'm stuck. You might, but it's going to give you a good sort of base to start from. Once you start from that base, you build your own sounds, but at least you're not having to start from nothing or just normal factory presets. You've got something where you go, oh, Buddy went through and made this amp. I like the way that sounds. Now I can build my tone from that. And so it's certainly cool. And we certainly, Cole and I both thank Buddy a lot for kind of mentoring us through the process, because there's some stuff to learn.
It's a deep box.
It is.
Man, I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, my job is to try and make it plug and play.
Yeah.
You know, you get in and then like you said, then you go, okay, this is a little bright for me. I'm going to turn that down, or my guitar is this, or my hands. But the idea is to give you a bass, B-A-S-E, not B-A-S-S, tone,
right.
You know, that you can start with. But like you know what you like, right?
Yeah.
You know, and so you just go in and then you can make it your own. But I've got them leveled for you is the other thing, which a lot of people struggle with. How do you level it? So we were in here, and most of these sounds were almost all the same volume. One or two were a little hotter, I remember. But that helps a lot of people out too who don't even know how to do that part.
Right, and that's really important when we get into this, when we start using it in a set with your band.
Everybody does this differently, right? You know, but Lance has a song, Anadarko, whatever, and then you've got your scenes. You know what you want to play in the intro for the verse. You got a lead, you get that boost in. And so for you, it becomes not having to think on stage as much. You're just like, okay, you know I need to change it. Just like you change an effect pedal board, you just click the one thing and then all of them come on. So it's like a built-in Bradshaw rig, as we used to talk about.
I always say it's like when I go do a set with my band, it's like having as many as 15 Bradshaw rigs that all have different stuff in them that you could just access. Boom, 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 boom. Whereas Cole, my other guitar player, absolutely opposite of me, he sets it up like a pedal board. So he's turning off and on things individually, and that's kind of how he lives. But with us, from our set, since I'm the singer, it's a lot easier to go, boom. Scene 1 is rhythm on that song. Scene 2 is my chorus. Scene 3 is my solo section. You know, you step it on one button at a time. So you can set up any way you want. It's great.
Yeah, it's really infinitely programmable. But it's also deep and not easy to do. You have to kind of figure it out. But once you do, boy, it's the most powerful. I think it's the most powerful digital model on the planet. One of the greatest tools. Great for recording, but it also works great for live, as we were here in the room. I mean, you know, I don't think they were there. Any of them were there 10, 12, 15 years ago.
No.
They didn't sound like amps in a room.
The guys that are in touring groups, absolutely, right? You know, the guys in, you know, Def Leppard, a lot of bands, they're all using this kind of thing. They have in-ear monitors. I mean, it's almost like they don't even need sound check anymore. Everything sounds the same every night. The front of house guy knows where the settings are. They're programmed. You just go out and play your show.
This is the end of episode number 4. We got more for you guys later. Ciao, Bella.
Thank y'all. Bye-bye.